Hey guys, Scripture here with another video, and a disappointing one at that. First of all, I just wanted to express my newfound insight into the Star Wars fandom that I have experienced the last couple of days. What's interesting is I have obviously have a following that consists of some people that are very angry at Star Wars. Of course, we all are. I am as well. But I have a smaller percentage and contingent that literally, if I don't absolutely bash and hate and destroy something that's come out, something that we don't know how it's going to finish or anything else, i.e. the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew, the fact that I don't absolutely hate them and bash the crap out of them makes me now a shill to some of these people, which is very interesting. And it makes me wonder if they've ever watched any other videos I've put out, other than very recent ones, because I've been doing this for a little while now, and I objectively rip these shows. And listen, I criticize the first 2 episodes too. There are major problems with them, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm also looking at it as what it is meant to be. It is meant to be a kid's show that appeals to kids my son's ages, right? Like, my sons are 8 and 11. So I think they would find the show kind of fun. Yes, it has some holes. It has some things that need to be explained. They did explain some things. And for me, my ultimate, thought was that it's okay. It's okay enough that I'm kind of was, at least until now, looking forward to the next episode. Because okay is so much better than the absolute total garbage we've been getting. Okay is now the new good. I mean, it's not, but you know what I mean. It's, okay is a lot better than The Last Jedi. Okay is a lot better than The Acolyte, right? Okay is a lot better than Obi-Wan Kenobi, all that stuff. So, okay is okay, right? We're at that place. And so I was a little shocked to see that, and I just want you guys to know, like, I'm not here to appease anybody in particular, any particular person, other than I'm just giving my opinions. I'm going to give you another one today, and this is very disappointing because, like I said, the show was okay. Star Wars Skeleton Crew lesbian mothers introduced. Why do this? Who is this for? And that's the question I'm asking in this video. Who is this for? And I did a little bit of research into this to try and understand who this is for. And we're going to talk about who it's for. And it's Rest in Peace Skeleton Crew, folks, as apparently the 3rd episode of the new Star Wars series streaming on Disney Plus is going to introduce lesbian mothers. And it was Chris Gore that tweeted this. He also said that the first 2 episodes were okay. A lot of people did. Mauler did, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So a lot of these guys, like, I don't know what everyone's thinking, like, oh, automatic hate. Like, I get it. The Acolyte was a totally awful show. But the first 2 episodes of this show weren't terrible. They weren't good either, but they weren't terrible. And most people, I think, sit in that area. I don't see anyone particularly loving it, really. Maybe some shill accounts I haven't looked into yet. But the general view is that it's okay. Expect a lot of life lessons along with it. Skeleton Crew from Spider-Man director John Watts premiered on Monday with its first 2 episodes. I think we know why they didn't release the 3 episodes. They want to hook you in with the first 2 and then shove the Disney DEI garbage down your throat. It's worked out so far for the Acolyte. Yeah, and they did kind of do that. Like, they put these 2 episode premieres out, and people are kind of like, oh yeah, and then they start throwing in stuff that is again, I don't know who this is for. I don't fully understand what the point of this is. It seems pretty stupid. Like, I'm a dad, I have kids. This show is supposed to be for my kids. I'm not raising my kids to normalize that stuff. If you want to do that, that's cool. Like, that's cool. If you want to do that, I don't hate you at all, but I'm not doing that. And I think there's a lot of other parents that aren't doing that. So it's like, why would you do this? It's just kind of weird. Star Wars is dead. I haven't heard much chatter about the series. And I'm guessing, similar to The Acolyte, the ratings won't be all that good. No, as I've said, it's on the 5-year decline, and then they're going to have to sell it in about 10 years. They'll hold on to it as long as they possibly can, because I think Kathy knows a lot of really bad information. Somebody tweeted back at me, I wish I could remember who it was, and said, because I said, how is this person still, actually might have been a comment on one of my videos, how is this person still employed, right? Because any other job, you have all these failures and issues and so many projects, you're announcing all this stuff and never making it, and directors and writers fleeing the scene and all this stuff, you would be fired. And somebody suggested that a lot of these, like we know about the Harvey Weinstein thing, and somebody suggested that some of the guys that she was working with, and I mean, there's lots of rumors about Spielberg. A lot of people think that that's who Corey Feldman was referring to. You know, with Drew Barrymore and E.T. and all this stuff. I mean, you start looking at it, it's like, I'm not saying that's what happened. I have no proof of anything, but boy, you start to wonder, right? And so some people, or this person suggested, and I think other people have as well, that she knows a lot of dirt on these guys. And she's basically saying, if you fire me, I take you all down with me. That's what this person suggested. And that kind of makes sense, actually. And that actually would make sense, too, in the terms of she's going to put whatever she wants into this Star Wars stuff. She's going to do what she wants. She's going to make these shows the way she wants. Even though they're awful and they're going to lose money, you're going to deal with it and live with it anyway. So, no, I don't think Skeleton Crew's ratings are going to be very good. I think that Star Wars is circling the bowl, as I've said many times. Star Wars is pretty much dead, and it's thanks to Disney prioritizing the agenda ahead of quality story. Star Wars died with The Last Jedi, saw a bit of resurgence with the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. Season 3 is horrible, I would agree with that. Andor is pretty good, but no one watches. Andor was okay, it has its problems. Watch my reviews, like it does. It literally does, it has some problems. And everything else is either so-so or no good. I'm not impressed with Rogue One, which is just another rehash of A New Hope. And Rogue One creates continuity problems as well. I have a video about that. Even though it is kind of a cool movie, it does have a few issues. Although it's okay. And okay is great right now. One character has 2 moms. Following the 2-episode premiere of Skeleton Crew, Star Wars Theory took to X to actually say good things about it. Yeah, he thought it was okay as well. Actually, I think he actually really liked it. I watched a brief video, what was his clips one or whatever, the shorter videos, and he was pretty excited. So, he really likes it. Whatever, brought up his childhood memories and stuff like that, whatever. Like, and there's stuff in there that would do that, like when they're fake lightsaber fighting and stuff. Like, that's all stuff we did when we were kids. However, Chris Gore has also said Marvel has fired its woke producers following the big Phase 4 failure, again prioritizing the agenda ahead of the story. Were these writers that were involved with the Marvels and stuff like that, I would assume, responded and offered things changed with episodes. So he's responding to Theory. I agree, Skeleton Crew is a fun and solid Star Wars show for kids. I would agree with that. I wouldn't say solid, but it's not bad. In episode 3, you'll meet the parents and learn one character has 2 moms. They just can't help themselves. Modern messaging must be inserted no matter what. I'd have preferred they kept the parents out of it altogether. So I'm assuming the parents of the 4 kids that are missing meet together to discuss their missing children. Anna, aka that Star Wars girl, also chimed in and hits the nail on the head. No wonder they only released the first 2 episodes instead of the first 3. By the way, thank you for following me on Twitter, Anna. And you know what's funny is I know exactly which mom is the lesbian without you even having to saying it. They're playing that much into the stereotype. What does she mean by that? Does she mean it's the snarky girl's overarching or sort of overbearing mom is the lesbian mom? Is that what she's saying? Wouldn't surprise me. Although I think did she bring up her dad in the show? I don't remember. I know it's obviously not going to be the Afro kid, Wim or Wow or whatever his name is. Obviously it's not Neil. We see his family. So it's one of the 2 girls. It's either the Oriental girl or it's who I also can't remember her name, or it's what's her name? Fair? The snarky one? It's probably her mom, I would guess. I also heard that apparently the scene that they're in is kind of unnecessary. Like, this is where Gore is saying, I would have preferred if they kept the parents out. Apparently, you didn't really need that part. So it's obviously there for a reason. Now, so I said, okay, who is this for? Why are you doing this? Right? The vast majority, I would think, of people are heterosexual couples with kids taking their kids to the show or watching the show or taking their kids to a Star Wars movie or whatever, right? And I wanted to know, And again, if that's who you are, if that's what you're doing, I'm not against you. I just don't normalize it for my family. I want my kids to have husbands and wives and children and grandchildren, and that's just the way it is. I don't hate you, but I don't need to advocate and promote your lifestyle to my children. I'm not going to do that. I'm just simply not going to. And I'm not going to allow a show to do that to them either. So that's where there's issues, I think, for a lot of parents. I think I fall in line with a lot of people. Again, it's not a hatred thing. It's not a fear thing. It's just, that's how I want my kids to be raised. Just like you want your kids to be raised with it being completely normalized, and that's how it is. And we're going to get into this. I don't normally do this type of stuff. And you'll see that they do that. These parents do that. Okay? So this is global news in Canada. I'm Canadian. Okay? And I would assume it's similar in the United States. I did check Wikipedia, and apparently, okay, so there's 114,000 same-sex couples in the States. Of course, Wikipedia conveniently leaves out what percentage of couples that is, because that's what Wikipedia does. But in Canada, that's less than 1%. So is that who this is for? Less than 1% of people? Why would you be attempting to draw in less than 1% of people at the potential expense of a larger number of other people? Why would you do that? What is the goal here? What's the purpose of that? That doesn't make any sense from any perspective. From a business perspective, it makes absolutely no sense. Even from the perspective of, okay, let's say you didn't have them in there. Is that going to mean that the kid watching it with the lesbian parents is not going to like the show now? Because all of his friends have heterosexual parents. Or her friends. All of them. Based on these statistics. So, who cares? So why would you go out of your way is, I guess, my question. It's very strange. Very weird. So 114,000. I mean, the United States is a big country. It's about 380 million people. So I'm going to go out on I'm not even going on a limb. I'm just going to say it's probably exactly like Canada. It's probably less than 1% of people. I would assume there is, 100 million couples. Yeah, I'm going to say it's less than 1%. So who is this for? My view is that what this is them. This isn't for the kid with the lesbian mom to feel normal. That's what they'll say, right? They'll say, oh, we're doing this for that poor kid so he feels normal and he or she identifies. They say that, but I don't believe them, actually. Because as if you're going to spend money and time to get less than 1% of your audience. Like, what kind of an idiot would waste their time doing that? I think they're doing it for the kid watching to think as they're growing up that's a something to do. Oh, I could be a lesbian and have kids. No, I think that's what they're doing. I don't care if somebody does that as an adult, but I'm saying it feels like that's what they're trying to do with the show. With any of these shows, with The Acolyte as well, it's like again, you're doing an entire show with like this being a major plot point. Now in Skeleton Crew, I don't think it's a major plot point, but in Acolyte, it was a major plot point, and it's less than 1% of couples. So less than 1% of kids are in that situation. So why are you making this an issue? I will say it's kind of interesting too that when Kathleen Kennedy took over Lucasfilm, she brought in a ton of females. Like the executives, and in the writing group, there's a ton of them. And the High Republic as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. If they know what they're doing, if they can write good stories, good on you. I don't care. But what's funny about that is there's a bunch of them are one of the letters. Whatever one, I don't know. Definitely some L's in there. There's probably some B's in there. I don't know for sure. Some Q's for sure. And they've been putting this stuff in their content. We've seen that with the High Republic as well, of course, and we've seen that with other things. And we saw Kathleen Kennedy tell Leslie Headland to make a story that is about her. And that's what she did with The Acolyte, right? Her and her relationship with her sister and the issues, and she's a lesbian, and then her wife is in the show, and it's not creative. It just isn't. You're not being creative by inserting your sexual preferences into a television show. You're not. And yes, I called them that. I did. I called them that. You're just not. You know? That's not creative. Oh, look at me. I put me in my show. Woo. And this whole thing about, like, we want these people to see themselves, right? Like, we have to have this in whatever content so the person sees themselves. And then some of those people come out and say, oh, I'm so happy that I saw myself. And then a whole bunch of other ones say, I didn't need this. I've seen on Twitter many, even in terms of race, for example. I didn't need this character to be a black person for me to like this. And of course, we've all seen, I mean, if you haven't, go on YouTube and watch it, the post Return of the Jedi interviewing, you know, the night it came out, and the amount of black people that were there and how much they enjoyed the movie. And none of them were like, oh, there was no black Jedi. No one cares. So they're putting this in. And again, I don't think these kids that have lesbian mothers would care if none of the couples were LGBTQ, because in real life, none of their friends have that. It's less than 1%. Maybe one of them has one other friend, maybe. Right? So it's not realistic. And then I looked into this study, and they took... This is recent. This is from this year. Largest and longest running study on planned lesbian parent families. Okay. 38-year study. So they took 75 of these couples, right? And they studied the kids at various ages. Started in 1986. And they did follow-up surveys when the kids were 2, 5, 10, 17, 25, and early 30s. So this is it's pretty extensive. And this is kind of what I was getting at earlier. Results indicate that children of lesbian couples are less likely to identify as transgender than the general population, but are more likely to identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or queer. So why would that be? And again, this is a little bit controversial, but why would that be? It's because in their home, it's promoted. My kids are not going to go down this road because in my home, it's not promoted, right? I teach them to love everybody, but I'm not going to sit there and tell them that that's the lifestyle that they should be living. So this goes into bigger issues of genetics and born with it and all those other things. Why would they be more likely if it's a natural occurring thing? I'm just asking the question. Again, I don't hate anybody. Do what you want. I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you're an adult, you can do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. But that's a big one right there, if you think about it. And then they say this suggests a nuanced understanding of gender and sexuality within these families. It's not nuanced. It's just they're saying it's okay and other people aren't. And reduced pressure to conform to gender stereotypes. So the whole conforming and stereotypes, I mean, that's not what they are. They're not stereotypes. They're realities for the absolute vast majority of people. So again, who is this for? Why would you put this in this show? Who is this for? 51% of the offspring have completed a bachelor's or nursing degree. Is anyone surprised by that? If you had 2 moms, they would be telling you to become a nurse, wouldn't they? Almost as if gender stereotypes are not stereotypes. They're just the way it is. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. Again, I don't care. Do what you want. But anyways, having said all that, who's this for? I think it's so that these kids watch this show, see that, and think, oh, because again, are you born with it, or are you more likely because it's being promoted in your household, right? So they're promoting it on the TV show, and then maybe you'll be more likely. And then the final question I have is, why is Kathleen Kennedy so into this? Why did she tell Leslie Headland to do what she did? What is the aim here? Because you're not going to convince parents to, or at least most of them, to promote this stuff, in this ideology in their households. You're not going to convince them of that by some stupid Star Wars show. They're getting it already in school. You're not going to convince parents, oh, look, we got to watch this show because it's going to be good for you to know about there's gay couples. Like, no. Like, so again, all you're doing is alienating a large portion of your fan base. I know Anna's about to have a baby, and I know what her stance is on these things. I have 3 children. again, I don't know who this was. Why are you doing this, Disney? Like, what are you hoping to achieve? What are you hoping to achieve? And they have pressure on them from inside. You hired those people, so they're putting pressure. And you have outside pressure. And remember when they did the stupid kiss at the end of Rise of Skywalker, right? And people were like, oh, that's just tokenism. There's no actual lesbian character. What would that even be? Like, if Sabine was a lesbian character, would she have been any different in the show? Would she have acted any different? Like, how would you know? Or is it just you want to hear a character say, that's what I'm a lesbian? Because I don't think they would act any different. In all honesty. They would still be a Star Wars character doing the exact same thing they're already doing. Nothing would change. Or is it you want to see them in bed with somebody? Is that what it's going to take? Like, why is this necessary? Why does this make you, if you are part of that group, let me know in the comment section. Why would that make you feel better about the show? I'm very curious. And again, from a business perspective, this is ridiculous. Why would you do this? Why would you alienate people? The bulk of your fan base for that? For just some token kiss or some token, oh look, we're a couple and we're standing there. Like, who cares? It's just pointless and dumb. Is it going to ruin the show for me? Not necessarily. I don't get that hopped up about this stuff. And again, it's not going to affect my family at all. It just seems so stupid and pointless to me. So I don't think it would. I just think it's dumb. And I don't know why they're so into this. I mean, I guess I do know why, but it's like, what are you doing? But it is gonna instantly ruin it for a lot of people. Not just because they're in the show, the couple, but because it's obviously an agenda, right? We saw what happened with Disney World and the Florida government, and then they made up the whole "don't say gay" thing, even though that word is not even in the bill. It's not even in the bill. The bill was about talking about adult things or things that are more adult themed in that regard to children in schools and like young kids. And that word is not even in that bill. And actually that bill also says we don't want you talking about any of it, hetero or otherwise. Any of it to these little kids. They're little kids. They don't need to be knowing about this stuff. Which I agree with. Little kids don't need to be thinking about things like this on any wavelength. But then they turned it into this anti-alphabet people thing. And it was like, no, it was anti any of it. But they got so mad that kids weren't being exposed to their lifestyle for some reason. I don't know why. And then they put a whole bunch of pressure on Disney. And then Disney said, oh, well, we're going to do this anyway. We're going to promote this anyway. And I'm like, why? The government gave you an out. They're putting pressure on you. The government gives you an out so you don't have to succumb to the pressure. And you can appeal to the larger fan base that you have, the larger nuclear family fan base that you have, which is what drove Disney for decades, 100 years. So he gave you an out and you went the other way. Why would you do that for less than 1%? It doesn't make sense to me. It just seems weird that you would go all out for less than 1% and alienate everybody else. All that to say, this is gonna create problems for them. I don't know why they keep doing this. It doesn't make any sense to me. Again, it's less than 1%. What are you doing? Will it ruin it for me? I don't know. Maybe. I'd have to see it. But I don't take it that seriously, but a lot of people do. And I do think it's forced, which makes it lame, which is going to make the show lame. Forcing that stuff is super lame. It worked out so far so well, I think, is what they meant to say for the Acolyte. Yeah, it didn't. People were mad. Now, it was very overt in the Acolyte, though. So we'll see just how much it's... I guess we'll have to wait and see, but what a stupid move. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, what's up to the channel. Feel free to check out anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.